All right, folks, my face is way too big here, so let me bring on my good friend here. There we go. All right. Hello, Peter. You're on mute, but that's good. We'll have you introduce yourself in just a bit. But hello, folks. Welcome to Code It Live. I'm just joining you, but it looks like many of you already have been here for a bit. Yeah, it looks like chat room is full. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at. Hopefully you have coffee or a drink of your choice and just like settling in. So we're going to take you to the dark side now. We heard Blazor, all things Blazor. We heard all things React. But I have a little news for you. Not everything belongs in your browser, okay? There is a world out there without your browser. There are native apps for mobile and for desktop, okay? And that's what we're going to dive into, particularly from a .NET standpoint. So this is kind of our bread and butter. This is what we love doing with Progress Telerik. This is what we have been doing for the last 17 years. .NET UI, .NET components for all things you can think of course, web, desktop, and mobile, but we particularly love the .NET stack here. So over the next 1.5 hours, we're going to cover all of the new and cool things. You heard me and Ed talk about some of it during the webinar. But what we do with the webinars is like we literally stand on the shoulder of giants. We have engineers who work over months and months. We have QA people, we have product managers, we have marketing. We are all part of a big, what's the word? Like we are cogs in a big wheel, okay? And we all function together, but you just see Ed and me. So this time around, we're glad to be able to bring some of the engineers with us, so you can actually ask away questions. So my name is Sam Basu. I'm a developer advocate here at Progress, and with me today I have Petar Mladenov. Hello, Peter. How are you? You are still on mute. Just hit the unmute button. Still on mute? Nope. Okay, see how Peter can unmute? And I also see like 2 of your camera feeds, so maybe you're doing it on the wrong one. All right, give it a couple of seconds, internet. We're live. And we are across like 2 parts of the globe. I'm in Northwest Pennsylvania in the US, and Petar is in Sofia, Bulgaria, because that's where our engineering headquarters are. So Peter, I don't know if you want to maybe jump off and then come back on and see if that fixes your mic not coming out of mute. That is weird. Yeah, shout out to Peter. Was working with select item bindings SDK yesterday. Nice. Hey, so Sodabound in the chat room, you were asking just a while back, I think. Yeah. Shall we cover Mvvm? And yes, we'll get into it. Like, this is the core engineering team. These are the folks who love their XAML. Okay, so Peter, I think you're off mute now. Can you speak? I don't know. Chat room, can you hear Peter? Or is it just me? Because I can't hear you. I see your mute is off, but again, I have like 2 of you in the backstage, and one of it has the mute button, one of it does not. Yeah, I cannot hear Peter. All right, so we'll maybe pivot. So Peter, maybe hop off real quick and then come back in and see if that fixes your microphone. Just like choose a different microphone, maybe. Yeah. All right, so until you are back, I'm going to try showing off or starting to show off some of the things we did this release. So bear with me for a second. I'm going to move some windows around because you don't want to see my face full screen. That's way too much. All right, hang on. Where is my desktop? There you go. And that is not my car, okay? That is, I've said this many times on the internet, this is an electric supercar that's coming out later on in the year. Okay, so Peter, you look like you are back. Shall we give it a try one more time? All right, go ahead and speak.
Okay, excuse
me.
I actually had 2 instances of
you were showing up twice.
Studio.
Okay, I'm going to take down my fancy car because you don't want to see that. This. All right, you go ahead and share your desktop whenever you're ready, so we can dive in some stuff.
Okay. Is it good
There
now?
you go. Yep, I see it. Awesome. Okay. All right. Your desktop looks much more zen than mine. But yeah, so Peter, why don't you go ahead and start introducing yourself? Who are you? What do you do?
So hello first. Thank you for the participation. I'm Petar Mladenov. I work here in the Sofia Office of Progress. And basically, I work in DAO-PF team since 2010. And I have done mostly DAO-PF, but also Silverlight, a little of UWP, and lastly, WinUI, which I'm going to show you today.
Okay.
I have worked in many components like mapping, charting, diagramming, any navigation components and inputs, so lots of stuff.
So what I'm hearing is you're an absolute XAML expert. Like that's the stuff
Yeah,
that you have
the
lived
common
with.
word for the technologies are
Yeah.
XAML.
Yeah, and like we'll talk about kind of the breadth of technologies that we cover with desktop and .NET. So let's see. I can hear you. Sodabound, chat room. Can you not hear Peter? Because I hear you fine now. Can anybody else confirm that you can hear Peter? Because I think you're good. I can hear. Okay. Oh, sorry. You said I can. Okay, and then I read it as cannot. Okay, we're good. We're good. All right. So why don't you, Peter, turn that little button off down at the bottom of your screen? Yep. Hide that little thing. There we go. And let's bring up our blog post because let's kind of unpack. We have 3 things to cover for desktop, okay? And we also did a little switch because like TJ and everyone else was talking about Xamarin. Yes, Sodabound. XAML is here. There's a lot of XAML love here. So we're going to switch it up a little bit because I think I covered Xamarin quite a bit during the webinar. So we do have someone from the Xamarin team that's just waiting. We'll bring her on in just a bit. But Peter actually has more things to cover, so we're going to start with desktop first. But it's all XAML here. So we have WPF, we have WinForms, we have UWP, and we have WinUI now, which is brand new. We still can't call it an official suite because Microsoft has not given it the blessing yet, but we are absolutely ready. It's moved from like preview to experimental. So Peter, what do you want to start with? WinForms or WPF?
I wanted to start with WinForms.
Let's go.
It's the oldest technology of the 3.
Yeah, and oldest and most matured.
Yeah, most mature, and some of the feature like design time is most advanced, as you know.
The whole design time thing, this is such a big deal. So while you're pulling that up, so folks, if you are not on the bleeding edge, so WinForms and WPF, these are kind of matured platform stacks. They are open source and they've always run on .NET Framework, except from like .NET Core 3.1 LTS and forward, they now run on .NET Core, and now they run on .NET 5. And when they moved the Visual Studio stuff to run on .NET 5, like you think about the designer, like that's how WinForms developers are the most productive. That designer is new, brand new, from scratch, and that did not work in Visual Studio because Visual Studio is a WPF MEF type application. So that's brand new from scratch, and it took Microsoft a lot of time to get it right, and it took us working with Microsoft to get it right. So all of the stuff that you see with WPF and WinForms, they all work in the designer. So design time support is very much in. And so Peter, what you're showing us, this is kind of the classic sample app that we have for WinForms, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to show you the picture box and the toast notification manager, which are
those are very cool. Very
major
cool.
controls WinForms team released.
Yeah, folks, if you want to just want to try this yourself, you don't have to install anything, but this app that you're seeing, if you go out to telerik.com, and maybe I should post a link. Hang on one second. So if I head out to telerik.com, and if I go to, let's just bring up our WinForms suite here, and I'm going to post a link like as coded live. Like if you head out there, what you're going to see is the WinForms UI suite, and you can hit the big download button that gives you the binaries to play around with, and it actually has the source code for this app. This is also the same app that you can install if you go to the Microsoft Store. Okay, so you can all play around with this. So with that, Peter, let's go on.
Okay, let's start with the picture box, which is a brand new control. It's actually an extension over the native MS picture box control. and gives you a lot of additional functionalities like customization buttons and integration with Imitator. We have to mention that it supports all kinds of image sources, like the well-known PNG, BMP, but also the modern ones, which are SVG formats. As you can now see, a gallery full of SVGs. But on top of the visualization, you can integrate it easily with Imitator control. If you go to the settings demo, which I'm now over, and right-click to open the context menu and then edit image, you can see a fully integrated Imitator dialog, which shows you the well-known transformation options, adjustments, effects you can apply to your image. Later, you can zoom the image, scroll it. We have lots of properties to control the side elements of the box. Actually, we have top panel and side panels and bottom, which gives you the flexibility to add custom buttons and add additional functionalities in these buttons. So user can easily integrate such image editing box in all kinds of application and integrate it with other APIs for processing or adjusting, editing images. So lots of stuff is going on here. Properties for maximum factor, for showing the panels, or how to interact with panels. For example, you can remove borders, or you can show the panels only when you mouse over the control. So a lot of stuff is going on here. Now I can quickly move to the next control, which is actually a management tool for post notification.
I love this. I love this.
Yeah,
this is so cool.
I really love this. It looks pretty simple, but there's a lot of code behind it. I will show you later. Now let's do a quick demo. If I click alarm toast,
There we go. Yeah.
there is
Actually,
an alarm notification.
let's pause for 1 second here, because let's try to explain maybe what's going on here. So, folks, like on Windows 10, you have the notifications, right? You have the action center that comes out, excuse me, like from your right bottom. So those are all Windows APIs, and yes, you can do that, but you don't have access to that from .NET. So what we are doing here is giving you access through .NET to be able to invoke those Windows APIs. So we can throw in those notifications, and we give you how many? Like, we got a template, a gallery of like probably 10 or so notifications that you can throw up. So why don't you go and show us a few more? So that was an alarm we saw.
Yeah, this one is my personal favorite because, oh, let me show you. Oh no.
Maybe your notifications are off, like they're probably sitting there somewhere in your notification panel.
Yeah, probably something is disabling, maybe some software running now. Actually, there is a focus assist, which should be, oh no, I think this is something administrative. You need to turn the focus assist off, and now I should be receiving invitation from Emily, which invites me for a tip. But no one is going out for a party because everyone's at home.
Virtual tea party.
Yeah. I wanted to show you that the design time feature actually is bigger than this demo, because when you drag and drop our post notification editor in design time, you can actually customize everything in the template for all kinds of the well-known notifications. For example, you can add additional lines with buttons. You can later receive events when the user interacts with these buttons in the notification. So it's pretty powerful and covers lots of scenarios. So actually,
is this editor, like, how do I get to it?
You get to it by just drag and drop it. Actually, first you need to register the manager. Then you need to drag and drop it from the toolbox at design time.
I see.
And
And
then
so you get these like templates in that editor that you can then customize. Nice. And I mean, could you zoom that in a little bit? I mean, looks like XAML, right, in there? Yeah, I mean, it's all, yeah, it is XAML almost, like, or XML.
It's XML, XML format.
So it's a toast that you are customizing. And the good thing about these notifications is it's not just a notifying thing, right? You can actually have the user take action, like you can hit yes or no, like a quick action, or if you want to reply to a chat. So if you can envision like a WinForms application that is running, and lots of our customers and everybody in the enterprise is used to scenarios like this, where you have these really heavy applications that people run on their desktop and they have it running like all day, right? And this is your way to kind of notify people of something going on, like envision like a dashboard where something happens and you want to let people know and also have them respond to that right away.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. So that's the notification manager. Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to show is the new theme WinForms released. It's actually Office 2019 theme inspired from the latest Office suite trends with simpler setup of colors, and as you know, most of the colors are.
This may be the light theme that is new, isn't it? Yeah, because I mean, we have had like a 2019 theme before.
Later we will add dark variation, I guess.
Right.
And this is the famous data grid.
Yeah.
In the theme.
Looks like a modern like Office 2019 app. And this is key because like how many themes do we have out of the box? I think it's like over a dozen now.
It's more than 20.
Oh, it's more than
the variations.
Nice. So these are all your starting points, and you can customize them to suit your needs, to suit your taste, but it gives you a starting point, so you can make your WinForms application look like a modern Office application.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's WinForms, and the code for all of this is also something that you get when you hit the big download button. You can play around and see exactly how we are rendering it. And to me, Peter, like this is one of the helps. Like I may not be doing exactly that exact app or that type of an app, but to be able to look through the source code of a real fully featured app to see like how these controls are being used, this is helpful.
Yeah.
All right. So
we can move to
switch gears? WPF. Let's bring it on.
Okay.
And again, folks, these are all apps that you'll find in the App Store. So this is your easiest way to go and play around with all of our UI.
So this is our WPF demo application, showcasing the fluent design.
And if I may just add one quick thing here. So Soderbound was asking before, like, what about Mvvm support? So this is all XAML. Like, unlike WinForms, this is pure XAML. Everything is XAML. These are all user controls. And unless we have a really good reason not to, we support Mvvm out of the box. And I mean, some of it is built in, especially if you're doing things like xamarin.forms. Much of the Mvvm design pattern is built in, or you can also bring in frameworks. So again, folks in the chat room, if you may not have used Mvvm, this is model view model. It's a very, very common pattern that we all use if you're doing XAML in a bigger team. So everything that you see, and I mean, Peter can get into it, but this is all data bound with Mvvm pattern in mind.
Yeah. So it was a major release for the new Cardview Control, which was very much popular in our feedback portal. We received a lot of votes for it. So it took a lot of development time to build it. It's actually really challenging control because the layout is pretty complex, because it includes all kinds of expandable containers. For example, it has groups, but groups have cards, and all of them are expandable. And all containers should be virtualized, And to support this, you need to have a really solid foundation, solid layout engine to calculate all sizes of all expanded or collapsed elements. Then when you scroll, you should receive a proper and fast user experience. And the challenge here was to build this solid layout, then build on top of it the rest of the feature, like sorting, grouping, editing, data validation, and so on. So actually, Cardview, as you can see, has most of the features a normal data grid does, but the idea here is to present the data in the card-like fashion. And what is a card? Card is similar to tile, like a tile list or a tile view. And you have an item with information, and every property receives its own line, which you can edit and see the type of the property. So, for example, the item here is employee from an organization. It has properties: photo, title, country, city, phone, date, and the idea is you can easily edit this data and focus on a user you wish to edit on, show more details of. This control particularly has a really big advantage for easier binding to queryable collection view source. It's a Telerik collection, which easily allows you to set grouping definitions, actually descriptors.
Peter?
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. Could you, like, you see that little the zoom person being 100%? Could you make that a little bigger so the code is more legible? Like right down at the bottom, you see the 100. Yeah, there you go. So, and this is a good thing to mention here, folks. So we give you the source code for all of these apps. So you can absolutely pull this up in Visual Studio and take a look at it. But what's easier is if you're already running the app, there's a little code button that you saw Peter hit on the top right. Just hit that and we show you only the code that we're using to rendering that page. So it probably has a view model in the back. It probably has some XAML, but that right there is the code that we're using. So can you define what exactly was the collection view source? Like this is a XAML element. It's an in-memory element, is it?
Yeah, it's a XAML element. It has properties which can be easily bound to collections and view models, and organize data in such a way that data operations such like sorting, filtering, grouping will be much faster because this source organizes the data internally. In 2 words, does the hard work for you in terms of data operations.
Yeah, and when you went into the edit mode for the card view, like I see your card view is bound to like an employee list, and if you have like two-way data binding, you're writing back to your data source as well, correct?
Yeah, actually, it's a sort of setup.
Okay. Yeah, I mean this one's a demo, but in real world, when you do have it bound to a collection.
Yeah, when you bound it to collection, you can define edit templates, and you can two-way bind your data so that when you edit the text, the property in the view model will be directly changed as well.
Yeah. Now let me. No, I mean, we get the gist of it. So you can edit all of this. I do want to mention something that that Sodabound in the chat room mentioned here, and again, this is the reality in which us desktop developers live in. We have these gigantic enterprise solutions, big apps that use WPF and XAML and the Mvvm pattern. And again, Sodabound, like nothing we do should get in the way. You should be able to use Mvvm. In fact, one of our teammates, who actually also does a lot of the UI stuff now, Kalin Todorov, we have an app that's called the Color Theme Generator, and I think there's also a CRM application as well. So those are both WPF apps. But if you look at the Color Theme Generator, which I mean, it's you can drill in. Oh, it's actually right there. We have it featured right there. So that app, if you look at the source code for that, we actually have it running on Framework. .NET Core 3.1 and .NET 5, so you can run it on any framework. And I think that color generator, theme generator, that actually Sotobound in the chat room, that actually uses Prism 8, just to kind of give you a feel of like it's doable with the latest Mvvm framework. So again, if you are curious, just take a look at that app.
All right, we can move on to the next feature we released. It's in the tile list. Tile list, as you know, is like Windows 8 mosaic tiles, as you mentioned in the last webinar.
Yeah.
So you can group some tiles. You can see a group of favorites frequently used, and actually, it's kind of wrapping of some slots.
Yeah, and it has like drag and drop as well.
So, yeah, it has drag and drop, selection, and grouping. Actually,
so,
you can think of a kind of mosaic of slots, and slot can hold bigger squares, middle-sized squares, and small-sized squares. And people really wanted to organize not only vertically, because here in the data now, the collection is videos, then mail, then calendar, then internet, and we fill the columns of slots, and people wanted to have the other options to fill the rows first, so that mail goes on the right of the videos, then calendar, then internet, then shop, then the next row of people. And of course, preserving the ability to group the slots into groups. So this really gives us a good flexibility of the layout.
So Peter, I have a small story here, Peter, and this is bittersweet for me, and the reason I say this is I'm old, and way back in the days when Windows 8 first came out, they say like writing a book is a mistake you only make once, because it takes a long time to write a book. So I got super excited and I wrote a book on Windows 8, and it was like dead on arrival, because by the time they published it, like Microsoft has started moving on. But what you see is like the UX stuck around because the UX was nice. Like if you go back to the just the regular tile list example, which was just the first look, like this is the classic look. And you see that happening in WPF or other desktop applications. This is the classic Windows 8 look, but it's the UX has stuck around. So I'm glad to see that we are providing a way in which we can render these things easily.
Yeah. So now we can move on to the next control with big feature. It's our radio menu.
I love this. I love this.
It's pretty
this is so cool.
It has built-in animations, which
this is a remarkably nice
around.
And of course I'm biased, but I mean, this is just look through the UX that this control offers, and it's just so nice. The animations that are built in, and you can configure this. Like this is completely customizable. This is your menu. And I think what we added this time around is the auto resizing, correct, Peter? So I think by default, it likes having 8 items, then it can go less or it can go more.
Yeah, it's actually 2 features combined into one. First one is to auto size items which are smaller than 8, and next feature is actually to support more than 8, because previously only 8 maximum items can be presented. As you can see now, 4 items take the whole space of the circle. If I go to child items, I can see 2 items not taking the whole space, because we have a flexible event in which we say if the child items are less than or equal to 2, let's not cover all the space. But if they're more, like
Peter, when sorry, 1 second. When you go into the code, could you bump up the font so we see better?
Yeah, sorry. So we have a flexible event navigating.
Yeah.
And you can write application logic to decide, do you auto size the child items? So currently, if they are more than 2, we auto size them, and every one of the child ones take equal space. But if less than or equal to 2. They are grouped together and they cover only the default size. So actually 2 features into one. Again, people wanted them a lot.
Yeah. Hang on one second, Peter. I got a couple of things to show, but Alexa, do not disturb me. This is what happens when you have like smart homes. They just keep on triggering. But looks like this is something Soravant already tried doing, and now you can Soravant. So hopefully you take a look at this. Now it can do more than 8, and it will readjust and do so. And in the chat room also is Mr. Lance McCarthy. The internet knows him very well. Lance and his team is actually part of our technical support team, and they deal with things like this all day long, where our customers are asking for more. And what Lance is referring to, you can mix and match the old school UX with the newest technology stack and kind of get the best. Yeah, Soravant says that's awesome. So yeah, you got some folks happy with the fact that you did that, Peter.
Okay, thank you. Now I wanted to show you a quick demo of setting up a Cardview, if you want.
Yeah, so bring on Visual Studio.
Actually, we can demonstrate 2 things. First one is our Telerik C# DAOPF application template for NetCore. Amazing. Yeah. This comes with the whole DAOPF bundle, and when you install it, we have templates for DAOPF in NetFramework and in NetCore. So if you jump in and create an application, let's call it Cardview Test App, it will prepare for you pretty much blank application, because this is the default one. Now I will just show you one control. I don't need, but have the option to create Outlook inspired or Excel inspired, Word inspired. Now I need just a simple demo with single control, so I'll go with the blank solution.
This, by the way, folks, this is part of that VS extension, right? So, yeah. Or you can just have it by your own. But we give you these templates. You don't have to use it, but it gives you a nice starting point, like what Peter is just starting out a project. You have your dependencies all set, or you can just go to NuGet and get the stuff that you need.
What it does now is restoring NuGet packages for WPF, and I'm waiting for them to be restored. Yeah, you can see now I have full access to WPF controls, so I don't need to go to manually add references to several DLLs. I just create an app which does this for me, refers the package for our controls. So another thing it does for me is to reference the Telerik namespace, as you can see in line number 4. Let's just wait for the designer to refresh. This is the Telerik namespace. What I'm going to do now is to quickly add some data for my Cardview. Let's call it a class named cardinfo. It will provide header name, number, and type of card. Then I will just create some cards. For example, 6 cards. And every second card will have an even type, and others will be odd types. Let's just reference object model. So I have observable collection, allowing quick updates in UI. And finally, the third step is to define the actual Cardview example. So let's go and put some Cardview example. Cardview, which is in the well-known Fluent theme, it says that the header of the cards will refer to the header property of the models, and the size of the card will be 160 to 220 pixels. Now let's give it a try. Project building in NetCore.
You know, while you're doing that, Sodaban was asking for docs, so I went looking, and looks like let me pull up this one here. So this, by the way, folks, she's not with us live on camera, but this is Rosi, as we call her lovingly. She's Rositsa Fakalieva. She is our director of software engineering, and she knows this stuff inside out. So those are the docs, Sodaban. Thank you for asking for it. But yeah, it's all documented. The new way in which you can configure and allow that auto resizing of the menu items. Yeah.
So as you can see, we have a fully functional card view with 6 items, and I can, for example, group the items by their type property, and I have a group of even cards and odd cards, and I can easily edit. So there is a built-in automatic template for all properties. You can see the name of the properties on the left, and built-in editors in the edit template allow you to edit the data. So that was the first demo I wanted to show you.
Yeah. So I want to ask you one thing here, Peter, or just kind of maybe expand upon something you already mentioned. So for the card view, or the this control here, like you're rendering these like rich cards for everything that is data bound, and you had mentioned virtualization. So I'm guessing like virtualization for a control like this is pretty important, because you don't want to be rendering everything, because things may be just collapsed, right? So that's all built in. The developer doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah, it's built in, and it's actually in the layout engine I mentioned. Its purpose is to calculate the sizes of all cards, so that when you scroll, actually here data is only 6 items, but if you have thousands,
yeah,
the idea is when you scroll, this engine really needs to fast calculate the sizes. So when you scroll, it should be scrolled to the proper item, and the states of expansion, collapsion should be preserved.
Right. Yeah, and that's not something we take lightly, because like it should be smooth scrolling, and like and we are all developers. Like we hear that we should not be data binding things to a million items, but again, let's keep it down to a manageable thing for your app, because it's also not good for your client's app to be pulling that much amount of data. But if you wanted to bind this to a huge collection, you absolutely can. We will not slow you down.
Okay, pretty much that's what I wanted to show you for the card view. Next release, we are adding design time support, accessibility, automation peers. So you can expect a fully functional official release. So stay tuned.
Yeah. Oh, and actually for WPF, there's one thing I want to mention, and this is kind of near and dear to my heart, and because like we see a lot of folks struggling with this. So accessibility, okay? This is important. This is important for you to have kind of compliance, especially if you're in like government contracts or other projects like this. And it's just a never-ending thing for you to just keep on having to support newer standards. And we have tried taking the bulk of the work on us. So Microsoft has a tool called Insights, and I think it has like almost 50 plus aspects in which it measures every UI element, and we pass on every one. So if you're using Telerik UI for WPF, you are all set with accessibility on the latest standards.
Yeah, so Sam, we can turn to the WinUI.
Yeah, the new kid on the block, the exciting part. So, folks in the chat room, if you have not done WinUI, this is new, and this is kind of the one step above. UWP was great, but it was very closely tied to Windows, and Microsoft sees the need that they need to detach so they can push out the UI stack more quickly compared to Windows updates. So the vision here is WinUI will essentially be the UI stack for Windows that sits on top of UWP and Win32. So this is the modern UI stack that we're looking at. So this is right now in preview, correct?
Yeah.
Peter? Yeah. And we started, I think, maybe maybe 2 releases back, and we started with the grid, which is kind of the thing that you expect from us. But again, Colin and the team has been busy. Like, we have quickly ramped up to like a dozen controls, and when I say a dozen, more than doubled. And when I say a dozen, like the charts and graphs, like if you count every variation, then we are up to a lot bigger number. But yeah. WinUI 3 promise. Yes, Lance excited. So are we, Lance. So are we. And we'll get to this maybe a little bit. But you see the promise of WinUI, particularly when .NET moves forward with .NET 6 and .NET MAUI. And Xamarin has kind of always been a little maybe questionable with UWP support. Things have fallen on and off. But WinUI gives them a route to do this with confidence. So .NET will, or the promise is .NET will use WinUI to get to the Windows desktop, and something like Mac Catalyst to get you to the Mac OS desktop. But okay, let's talk about WinUI.
Okay, so we're really proud of this release. With the major component in it is the ribbon view control. As you know, it's well-known Office-inspired top-level navigation, which allows you to organize tabs. Tabs have child groups. You know, this kind of stuff in Word, Excel.
Everybody asks for a ribbon, and then Microsoft doesn't have it because it
also Windows Explorer uses.
Yeah. This is just something you're just so used to, you just don't have it built in. So this takes a lot of engineering to pull off. Sorry, Peter, you were saying something.
It's okay. Actually, it has a lot of votes in GitHub repository of WinUI. So we took the action to bring this to our users. You know, the tabs, groups, and I wanted to touch base on the fact that there are some differences with WPF. We really wanted to make some things looking native. For example, when in WPF you open drop-down button, you see a pop-up, but here we take advantage from the native flyout control, which is a concept of self-closing pop-up, which has shadows. Also, it supports native menu items, menu flyout items, so they can be organized in sub-menus. And this brings much more native experience playing with the ribbon view. You can see it in split button here, drop-down button here. All these are flyouts, and gallery, which opens again in flyout. Other thing which was an important development decision was to take advantage from the icon elements. Icon elements is a native UI element, which is a base class actually for font icons, symbol icons, bitmap icons, so that the user can actually use both symbols built into framework or external images with a single point of API, which I will show you later. It's really flexible to have one property for presenting image or glyph or symbol, and the framework provides hundreds of symbols. For example, this arrow. Other things about the ribbon view is the well-known backstage menu and quick access buttons, which generally show the most frequent actions user is expected to perform in her application. And other feature is contextual tabs, which open when a particular action needs to be done, and they don't need to cover the space when not used, so only in specific context they can be invoked, and so on. So pretty much I will show you a quick setup demo in a few minutes. That's why I'm going to move on to separate demos and separate controls. Simplified ability of the ribbon is a huge feature because it follows the latest trends in the online Office 365 applications, allows you to organize all the buttons in a single row, preserving more space for your documents or the things you process bottom from the ribbon view. So when you toggle the mode, you actually switch the height of the ribbon, and you can see buttons organized in a more compact way. Mostly organized in small icons instead of big icons, and small menus, small galleries, and more pop-ups, allowing you to check all the options instead of having them taking all the space, which is actually a lot in some scenarios.
So let me ask you a question here, Peter. Like, the ribbon is very involved in all of the things. Like, when you first start, like when you just drag and drop, like, do we enable everything, and does the simplified ribbon come in by default, or is it like a setting you have to turn on?
It's only a quick setting. You will see it in action in a few minutes.
Okay.
It's only it's a button setting, and later you organize the buttons in the way you like. You'll see it in a few minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
And the last big feature, of course, is the Mvvm. In this demo, you can see a fully data-bound ribbon view. All the tabs, all the groups, all the buttons are data-bound, not behind. You can see the code is full only of view models. And also Backstage is data-bound, and Quick Access Toolbar is data-bound. And you have commands which can add additional groups or additional tabs. And
nice.
All this is waiting for your enterprise Mvvm application.
So, so Soto bound in the chat room. I don't know if you're still around, but again, this is nothing different. Like we expose this for all of things XAML, but you can see that we support Mvvm out of the box with commanding support, and you can render everything from your that's data bound to your view models.
Yeah. So now we can move on to the smaller controls, but not less important. For example, we have
hey, barcode is hard. Barcode is hard. Looks simple, but it's deceptively hard to do.
Yeah. Actually, this is kind of control which has a lot of algorithms inside, actually mathematical algorithms. What does the barcode actually do? Actually, you give it a value, string value, for example, QR code test. Internally, mathematical algorithm transforms, encodes this value into other value, which can be a sequence of digits or sequence of strings. And then this sequence is converted to sequence of drawable rectangles. And in the simpler case, these rectangles are only layouted in a stack panel like layout, but in a more complex two-dimensional barcodes, there is a lot more stuff to go on, like rectangles.
And you can see, like, when Peter clicks on that the symbology thing, that's like more than 24, not 24 maybe, but I mean, it's a big number of different types of like patterns or algorithms we use. And these are like industry standards. So like choose the one that you need to support, and you'll have a barcode or a QR code.
A QR code and popular data matrix, which is actually one of the most complex ones. Now I'll quickly move with the rest of the controls. We have busy indicator. You can see a beautiful 9 built-in animations. User can also add his own custom animation with custom code.
Yeah, and this is where you kind of see, like, this is not just about WPF or WinUI. Like, the whole XAML stack is modern, and we share the things that are done well in Xamarin. We bring it over, and you see some of the busy indicators that you may have seen first in Xamarin land. It's all good, and you, like you were saying, like, Peter, you can make this your own. I think in the Xamarin app we have a demo where it's like a spinning wheel, so you can completely upload your own and make it yours.
Yeah, next one is pagination control. You can data bind it to a set of objects and easily integrate it with a flip view, for example. A flip view can display an image, but pagination gives you the ability to detect the current item which is currently visible. You can see the number of items, and you can go back and forth and so on. You know the pagination.
So
Last control, yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask you this one here. Like, is this control more suitable when you have like richer type of data, or like when would you use this as compared to just like paging in a list view or a grid view?
It's actually it's great for images because you can see the number of images, and you can easily switch next and back.
That's true. Yeah.
So
It shows its total number. It shows you a
this is
summary for each. Yeah.
this is the common scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. And our good friend Ivana is in the chat room. Folks in the chat room, please don't forget there are prizes to be had. And we have probably about 7 to 10 more minutes here with the desktop, with Peter, and then I'll bring on another engineer from our Xamarin team. And at the end of it is your chance to win those gift cards. So plug in your info in that little form. All right, so what do you want to do? Jump into a little bit of code, show us the ribbon?
Yeah, just the last one control is the rating. You can see next on the right of the pagination. It has separate demo. You can set precise values or how values, and you can easily actually replace this star with another glyph or image or content element. You can place whatever you want. We have dedicated support article for this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like the precision thing because it can be like 1/3 a star or half a star, and so on.
Yeah.
You can control that. Cool.
So next thing, I wanted to show you how to quickly set up a ribbon view in a WinUI application. I have quickly prepared the boring part just to move on quicker. This is actually a blank WinUI application based on UWP. What it does is to refer automatically the WinUI and the universal Windows DLLs. And what I manually did was to reference our Telerik WinUI Compose DLL, which is
that's all you need.
That's actually all we have in WinUI. It's currently in a single assembly. That's it. And last thing I did was to reference the Telerik namespace in XAML. So now we're going to build a ribbon in 20 lines of code. Let's start with maps. We will define a ribbon view.
Okay.
I will put this big deploying while I
so it's got nothing else. It's got 2 tabs. Maybe bump up your font size. You see like at 110%, maybe make it like 150. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So only 2 tabs, okay?
Okay. Only 2 tabs, home and settings, application name which will be visible on the top of the ribbon view, and icon for the application element. Deploy is succeeded. Now we cross our fingers and we play the test application.
Hey, preview software with hot bits. What could go wrong? But it works. There you go.
So this is ribbon with 2 tabs. And now the magic happens here. This is an icon element which says, I want a world icon. What is this? This is actually a symbol. The framework WinUI gives you symbol and number.
Nice, yeah.
Built-in icons which have glyph codes.
This
and
is
also
nice.
there are more than 100. And for example, if I need some picture, I search it here. But let's see this what it does. For example, I want a home-like icon. We are now saving the file, and hot reload kicks in, and now we can see the icon is here. Of course, I can change it somewhere else. What it happens now is that XAML parser kicks in and automatically converts the string into a symbol icon, which is kind of icon element, and icon element is what we use in the template of the ribbon view, and automatically is refreshed.
Yeah. So, and this is nice because this, I think, like the web folks are just too used to things like Font Awesome or any other libraries. Like now, like you don't have to go and search for these icons. It's all like built into Win UI. And I was talking to other folks like, on the Microsoft side, Dimitri Lylin, Olia Gavrish, Matty Leisure, David Ortno, like they're all trying to make like XAML tooling better. So things like binding failures, those are all built in, and hot reload like works the same way across WinUI, Xamarin, WPF. So this is good.
Yeah, what I'm going to do now is to add some groups in the first tab. So actually adding a single group named clipboard with dialog launcher button and hot reload works again.
So visibility says like you show it to me right away, or you can just have that arrow that you're going to have to click to make it visible.
Yeah. Okay. This property gives you the arrow. However, not all things can be done in a hot reload. For example, more complex things that need several layout passes will need separate type of things. You can see now the code is colored, meaning that probably it's not recognized. So what I'm doing now is enabling the simplified mode. First, I'm defining the simplified items in the first tab I did. So it will have a single group with smaller buttons. So now in the first group I defined, I had 3 large size buttons, and the simplified version of it will have small sized buttons. And next thing I need actually to.
And while you're typing, it was funny that your like there was a OneDrive notification that came in. Like that's a Windows notification, but you saw like how close our notifications are similar to the Windows ones, and you get to customize it all.
Yeah. So we're now quickly rebuilding, then we are deploying, and actually simplified items is the property which gives you the flexibility to define actually other controls than in the normal view. So I can have buttons and big galleries in we have some issue with the project, so I will try to resolve it with some cleaning.
Hey, it's Thursday for Visual Studio as well.
I guess it was the thing that I wrote the property in the process of rebuilding. So it hates me.
And I also like the fact, like the ribbon view being such a complicated control. Like we don't start you off with all the complications. Like you add on the things that you need, and then when you feel like you have had too much, you add those simplified items in the list. There you go.
So I deploy. Now we are crossing fingers, and voila, we have the simplified
there
button.
You go. Nice.
And if I click it, I see how the big size buttons were replaced with the smaller ones, and we can play this back and forth. The last thing I want to add is quick access toolbar. As I said, it's expected that some actions in the application are more frequent than other ones. So developers can organize such actions in a quick access toolbar. So this again works with hot load, and we have undo and redo buttons, as well as the built-in button for moving the quick access below or above the ribbon. So as a summary, we have no view models, no code behind, only
you can just start playing around,
24,
and then you can
24 lines for our hello world ribbon with a lot of features like groups, buttons, icons, simplified mode, and quick access.
Very, very nice. Very, very nice. And yeah, I think Lance kind of summed it up. Like this is difficult until you start building on your own. And I wanted to bring back one more comment here, because I've clearly lost track of what day of the week it is, because we have been like on the internet live a lot this week, but clearly it's Friday, and Visual Studio should not be choking up on a Friday. But folks in the chat room, like, this is the man, the legend, the myth. This is Stefan Stefanov, works with us, and he owns a lot of the products that you see today. All of the cool things, all of the good stuff that you see comes out of the engineers, and everything that is not wrong, or everything that is not quite up to your liking, it's Stefan's fault. Like, that's how we go. And Stefan is blushing. Yeah. But he's awesome, and he drives so much of our vision every release. So, Peter, anything else you want to show? This was quite a whirlwind tour.
It was pretty much.
It was a lot in about an hour.
All that.
All right.
Prepared.
Yeah. All right. So let me bring your desktop down. Peter, thank you so much. I know, like, you and the whole team spends so much effort every release putting these things together, and it's so good to actually have you, like, the first person view of showing us how to use these things. And chat room, I want to thank you for asking all the XAML-ish questions while you had Peter. But Peter, it's late for you on a Friday evening. Hopefully you get to still have a good dinner and chill out with your friends and family. But thank you so much for all that you do. And with that, hang out here with me. Let me see if I can bring on our next guest. I don't see her camera on, or maybe we do. Yay, there we go. All right, so Peter, we're going to say bye to you, and we'll see you soon. All right. That was an hour of lot. Hello. So,
hello.
Internet, please meet Dobrinka Yordanova. We don't call you that. We just call you Didi, because we love
Didi,
you.
yes, you can call me Didi.
All right, Didi. So tell us what you do.
I'm a technical support engineer at Progress, and I'm part of the Telerik UI for Xamarin and UWP.
Awesome.
Yeah, and today we will talk about the dark key and dark mode support for Android and iOS. Also, I will share with you that our rich text editor control is official, and I will show you really nice new features in our Cardview Control.
Nice. Yeah, so the Xamarin team here, Didi and all the folks, these folks are, again, near and dear to my heart, because like I spend a lot of time in Xamarin land, and what you do is not easy, because you are nonstop. You have to stay on top of what Xamarin is doing, what's iOS is doing, what Android is doing, and just like figuring out what is it that we want to do every release. That's got to be kind of a struggle with all the priorities. But thank you for what you do. Thank you for showing up here. It's late night for you. So for Xamarin, we did a whole bunch of different things. But do you want to start maybe sharing your desktop, or I can do it if you want?
Yeah, I can start share my screen. I have two monitors, so I will share my second screen. So
I see it.
Can you see it?
Yep, there we go.
Okay, yes, this is the Telerik UI for Xamarin documentation.
Yes.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. So and this kind of gets to like who we are. Like, we are by developers for developers, and if you all are struggling with documentation, then we have not done a good job, right? You should not be struggling. We spend a lot of time with documentation.
Yes,
every release and all through. Yeah.
We check the native documentation. We update the articles here. So yeah, a lot of work has been done.
And this probably is kind of a classic way. When you look at the documentation, it kind of gives you a feel of what we are building. It's not just one set of suites. So if you look at like all of the controls, there are variations.
The xamarin.forms controls, the native controls, and the xamarin model Blazor
bindings, and there are some Skia controls. So I was talking to Maddie Leisure from Microsoft. She is a PM on the Microsoft like Xamarin tooling team, and she was in agreement. Like simple things like dark mode, they're not so simple when you look at all the different ways in which we render the controls and the layouts and all of that goes in. Just toggling to a dark mode is not a simple thing. So I know you folks have been working on this for a while. Are we ready, this release, to finally give the blessing like dark mode support is in?
Yes. We dedicated a large portion of our effort in the dark mode support. So.
All right, do you want to show us?
This was really big.
Yeah, I bet.
And this is a new section in our documentation, demos and sample apps. We combine all of our demos in one section and 3 articles. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, I just took a sip of water.
So in the Xamarin Controls examples article, you can see 2 main applications, Telerik UI for Xamarin samples applications, which is, yes, you can see the highly polished and has many scenario-specific use cases. And I will show you this application today. And the other application is the Sdk sample, Sdk Browser Sample Application. And this is focused on separate feature for each control. The other applications we have are real-world applications. They are Telerik ERP application, the Telerik CRM application, the Telerik To-Do application, and the Telerik Target application. All applications are in the stores, so you can download them. And the source code is in the public GitHub.
And speaking of folks in the chat room, that's Lance. He said hi to you.
Yeah.
But, Lance and his team are responsible for getting some of these apps in the store. So thank you for that. And essentially what we're trying to say is, like, you don't need to install anything. Just take a look at the apps. And as a developer, like, it really helps to see a full-featured app. Some of them use a different Mvvm pattern. Some of them just use Mvvm out of the box. To be able to see apps, like we're done writing like Hello World apps, right? These are real apps that are in the stores on iOS, Android, or Windows. So go take a look. This is going to give you the UI and how we use it. And the Sdk browser sample, I love that because it's like so developer-focused. Like, how do I do this little thing? And you have an example right there.
Yeah, it helps a lot, and the ERP application has a tablet version as well.
Yes, nice.
Yes, and today I'm going to talk for the dark mode, and I have downloaded the Telerik UI for Xamarin Samples application from the public GitHub repo. Its name is QSF application. So if you want to download this application, you go to the public repo and download the code.
If you also do a download of, like if you go to Telerik homepage and then drill down to Xamarin, if you hit the big download trial button, we also give you the source code and the binaries that you're using.
Yes. And here is the QSF application. So let's run it on iPhone simulator. Let's wait for building first application. I'm using my remote Mac.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it needs to talk to Xcode, go do the build, and come back with an app package. And then this has come a long way. Like, I am natively on a Mac, so for me it's a little quicker. But for Windows, like you do need to get the app fully built, and then it comes back.
And we know that the dark theme was introduced with Android 10, and the dark mode was introduced with iOS 13.
iOS 13. Yep. Android 10 and API level 29.
Yeah.
It looks like you're all in with dark mode with Visual Studio. I'm a mixed bag. Like when I'm coding just by myself, like especially at night, like this is not an optional thing. Like you have to support dark mode because it's part of accessibility and UX. It's so much better if you have like vision impairments. When I'm by myself, I'll be honest, like I do have Visual Studio in dark mode at times, but whenever like I'm on the internet or I'm doing demos, I do actually switch it back to light mode because I think it still reads a little better at times. But okay, so it looks like we are up and running, and we're looking at your Windows iOS simulator.
Yeah.
That's built, yeah. And then this may be kind of a race as to who gets it first. We got about 17 more minutes. If it takes a while for you, I can also pull it up.
Oh, it's fine. I can let me check. Okay. So when we talk about the dark mode, of course, in the documentation, you can also find an article about the dark mode support. And the dark theme for Android, it's very important to set the app theme inside the styles.xml file in your Android project. This is not Telerik UI for Xamarin related. This is Android related stuff. And yes, you can also check this in the official Android documentation. Yes.
Yeah, and
yeah.
Android had it a little different. Like when iOS 13 did it, like when you make that switch, I think they switch everything in the OS and all apps that are running. But Android had like a dark theme type thing in the past, right? So it kind of like reloads the applications when you
Yes. And for iOS, the Telerik UI for Xamarin controls, they automatically react to system appearance. So you don't need to set anything. You just need to turn on the dark appearance and it will work. Okay.
Yeah, it's up. Build is done.
It's here.
It's here.
Yes.
All right.
So now we are going to change the appearance here.
There you go.
And
like you expect.
Yeah, it's expected. So
we respect the OS. Yep.
Yeah, we can see our controls. They react to dark appearance. So we can check the accordion control.
And everything is flipped. Everything is flipped. And again, like keep in mind, like what is going on in this. Like we have so many layouts, so many different pages and views and containers, and like within each of the controls. Like if you go into like maybe one of the charts, Didi, like just the sheer number of things we have, like we have had to do that flip for everything across the board. Yep. So if you are using any of our UI in Telerik UI for Xamarin, and if your users do the switch, you are guaranteed that all of our UI will do the switch for you. You don't need to do a thing.
Yes, and let's move on to the white appearance. Go back to the... Okay. Yeah. And if you want to allow users to change between dark and white mode, you can achieve this with the Xamarin app theme bindings. So here I have included this in the documentation also. Here is the app theme binding section. So what you need to check the official Microsoft documentation about this. And you need this app theme binding markup extension. Our QSF demo has a support for this. Using a single button, you can change the theme for iOS, the dark mode. So here
I was going to say, like this app, like it's got all of the controls, everything is in there. But if you look at the home view, which is the view that you're looking at, that has a view model, and you can see us toggling the apps theme right there.
Yes, correct. So you can change the appearance in a way you want. So it should be dark mode or white mode.
So while you are pulling up the next thing, rich text editor, let me answer a quick thing here from the chat room. Soroban, thank you for being around. And this is a great question. If you're already doing WPF, if you have any XAML skills, how difficult is it to get onto Xamarin? It's not difficult at all. It is just a different flavor of XAML per se, but it's the same. Like maybe some namespaces are different, but it's not different. It's just you're catering to a very specific mobile like form factor with Xamarin. And all of our UI with Telerik, I mean, we follow the same patterns. The APIs will look very, very familiar to you. Mvvm is right there to support you. Much of it is actually kind of baked into xamarin.forms. So no, Sotoban, I don't think it's much of an effort. It's actually an easier kind of learning curve if you already come from a XAML background. And now that XAML can take you to iOS, Android, and Tizen, and Mac, and Windows. So it's fun. All right, so we're looking at the rich text editor now, right, Didi?
Yes, this is the rich text editor demos. So let's look at the first look example. So I will close this. So maybe it's better now.
Yep.
Okay, the rich text editor is now official with R1 2021 official release of Telerik UI for xamarin controls. And before we have feature request logged in our feedback portal, and implementing rich text editor control was one of the most voted items in our feedback portal. And we have decided to implement such a control. And what I see from our customers, they use the control.
Yeah, and let me post something here. So we keep mentioning this, and folks, if you are watching, I'm just going to try to put that URL up one more time here. So everything that we are saying, like that feedback portal that Didi and everybody else keeps saying, like that is your way to tell us what you want to see, and our PMs and our engineering teams look at everything that you tell us. So this was a heavily requested feature, and we had this in beta in the last release, right, Didi? And now
Yes,
it's just
it was in beta version, and now it's official.
And we've added a whole bunch of new features to it.
Yeah, we have added a select all functionality and default context menu, which can be customized. So let me show you. Here is the default context menu. We can select all. Of course, we can cut the text, and again, we can paste it. Yeah,
so we are cutting, copying, and pasting with like full fidelity. We are maintaining what you are seeing.
This is the default context menu. Of course, you can customize it. As I mentioned earlier, we have this Sdk Browser Application, which is mainly focused to show the separate features for each control. And if we go to the rich text editor control and its features section, we can go to the custom context menu example, and you can see here there is no copy paste select all options. We have different options here. We have bold, italic, underline, so we can bold, we can, and yes, this is if you want to customize the context menu. It depends on the requirements you want to achieve in your application. Yes.
Yeah, this is nice because like anytime you think about any part of your app where the user might be dealing with richer context, like maybe like you're responding to like a forum post, or you have like blog posts, or you're loading up some rich HTML, and this does import and export and lets you save. So this is nice because you can do the full fidelity experience.
Yes, you can load HTML content from a stream, and you can use, of course, the rich text editor toolbar, which helps you a lot.
Yeah.
If you want to edit the text and if you want to customize it.
Yeah. All right, we got probably 8 more minutes left. So you want to move on to the tab view?
Yes, we are moving on the tab view control. So we have added 3 new features and improvements in the control. The first one is disable tabs. As you can see, you cannot click on the Dubai tab. The second feature is scrolling in the headers. So if you have more tabs and you want to reach the other tabs that are not visible in the screen, so you can scroll inside the tab view header. This is the tab view header part, and this is the tab view content part. And a really nice feature, and also a lot of votes in our feedback portal was swiping inside the content. So when you swipe inside the content, you can change the tab view headers.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is kind of the classic mode in which we stand a lot of times. Some of the controls, like if you think about like a little button in xamarin.forms, yes, I mean, xamarin.forms has it out of the box, but we can take that and we can put it on steroids, and we can really give it all of the features that it can do. So same with the tab view, like you can see the swipe gestures and being able to enable, disable. This is cool.
Yeah, about the tab view, I want to show you how you can disable tabs, enable scrolling. So this is
your code is really small, Didi. Maybe bump up the fonts, like on just the code part. Yep, exactly.
Okay,
yep,
it's okay now? Okay.
Yes.
So this is a blank xamarin.forms project available for Android, iOS, and UWP. And I have already installed the Telerik UI for Xamarin Nougat package. And I have installed the Telerik UI for Xamarin extensions. So you can see here I have the extensions because I need the Telerik UI for Xamarin toolbox. So from the toolbox, I can drag the tab view control.
Yep.
It's super easy.
It is.
And yeah, and you can see here we have a tab view control with 2 items, one item with header home and one item with header text view. And what we can do here, just set is enabled to false.
Yep, surprise.
And we can
yeah, like to sort of bound point, like take a look at this XAML here, sort of bound. Like this might as well be XAML that you write in WPF. Like all of our APIs will start
yes.
here. You enable and disable a thing by the isEnabled property. So no surprises there.
So as I've mentioned, inside the header, we can allow the scrolling. So this is what we need. We need to set the tab view header. And the tab view header is scrollable property, which we can set to true. It's a bindable property. You can decide whether it will be scrollable or not. And also about the swiping, we have these 2 properties. Is content swiping enabled property, which by default is true. So you can also disable the swiping if you want to allow the user to tap on the tabs to switch the content.
Sure. Yeah, this is what an API should be. Like it should be self-evident when you see the IntelliSense as to what it should do.
So now we are waiting. So I have disabled this content swiping enabled property, so we cannot swipe inside the content. And I have disabled the first tab. I think we cannot see it's a scrollable in action because
just with like 2,
we have 2 tabs only.
Exactly. And Lance was making a good point here. Like the whole like mobile developer experience has come a long way. Like you and me are doing things on a simulator, but you don't have to. If you have a real device, you can do straight to your device. And Microsoft is working on things like hot restart, which will make that experience a whole lot better as well. Hot reload already works. So yeah, productivity is something we are always shooting to have more. And I have been corrected. It's not Thursday for Visual Studio. So, but it's late Friday for Visual Studio. So I don't know. Sometimes Visual Studio tends to have a mind of its own. But clearly it's building. And this one, oh, you deployed to Android.
Yes, we cannot
Oh,
go
there you
to
go. Yeah.
contact, and we cannot swipe.
You cannot swipe. So, yeah, and based on the type of content that you put inside of a tab view, maybe you don't actually want the swipe on all the time. So you have a clear choice to make, and the API is simple enough.
Let's try the hot reload feature.
Oh, you want to live on the
now we can, and we can swipe. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. So you see that's the hot reload. Okay, it's enabled by default. Well, maybe they turn it off, but what they really did was they had hot reload last year, and it was not done well. But now they have redone it completely. It's using the same technique that like WPF or WinUI is using, and you can actually see them kind of scanning the visual tree. So they only paint what is changed, and like all of the web guys will tell us, oh, like things like Webpack and components, we have had this, but this is different for .NET, and they're literally scanning the visual tree for binding failures, for anything that you may change in the XAML, it shows up right away. So cool. Didi, we are almost at time. Anything else you wanted to mention?
I want to tell the customers to share their feedback in our feedback portal.
Yeah, and we have dropped that link many a times, folks. This is as much about you as it is for us. And when we set up our sprints and our planning meetings, we look at everything that comes across from the feedback channels. Here, I'll put that in one more time, feedback.telerik.com, and then you get to drill down to whichever product that you're looking at. So give us feedback, use it, like take a look at all of the sample apps, and hopefully with our Xamarin Suite, you can see that we are trying to enable developers to have all the productivity and a rich UI controls that you can use for Xamarin iOS, Xamarin Android, Xamarin.forms. So go build amazing apps, right? All right, Didi, I'm going to take your desktop down and talk to you again, but thank you so much. I know it's late evening for you. Thank you for being here, and thank you. I know you and me are representing the whole team that works on Xamarin, so a big thank you to all of you. And folks in the chat room, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Let's see, I think, oh, Peter is actually still here. So before we get off from Xamarin and desktop, these are the two people that make things happen. So Didi, Peter, thank you. Thank you for all that you do. This has been a very exciting release for desktop and Xamarin. And for desktop, you see just how many things we are enabling across WPF, WinForms, UWP, and WinUI. So thank you to both of you, and we shall talk to you again on the next release, hopefully. So Peter, I'm going to take you out first. So good night, and good night to you as well, Didi. Yep, bye-bye. And my face is way too big, so let's bring on our next person that you may have seen on the internet before. He's been off for an hour or so. Oh, there is Ivana. Hello, hello. You are mute. You're on mute.
Again, I keep doing that. Prizes. Before I let you talk.
Yes.
Yeah, Sam, thank you so much. sorry, Ed.
No, I let Peter and Didi go, but I can help you pick if you want.
Yes.
So maybe let's see. Let's take Ed down. Ed's on the internet way too much.
No, Ed, stay. No. We need a drummer. Okay. We need a drummer.
We need the drummer. Okay, sorry. And then it looks like Peter is still on.
They let me out of my cage once in a while to eat lunch and stuff, so I'm happy to be back.
Peter is back on. All right, so Ivana, what are we doing?
Now, we need to choose from 30 to 56, one number, and I need a good drum roll because mine is just horrendous, so please.
All right. 30.5. No, there's a word.
Come on.
You didn't say a full number. All right. Drum rolls. Peter, you do the honors. Pick a number. And?
36.
36. Let's see. And our winner is Kim Vu, and I can't pronounce the Twitch name, but congratulations, you get a gift card. Thanks so much for tuning in. And just a quick reminder to everyone, we're almost halfway through. I'm just going to show you what's left of the day very, very quickly. And by the way, I'm sorry if I'm screaming. I think my headphones are just being very weird. But yeah, we're almost through, and now I'll let you talk code again.
Right.
Thanks so much for having me again. See you soon.
Cool.
Bye,
Yep.
Eva.
Thank you. Bye.
Sam.
I drop off as well. You have seen enough.
Take care, my friend.
All right.